Okay, so it's on, and we have Bea here to do a speech for us today, and we have an audience of 4, so we have 2 ladies over here, and we have Debbie over here and me. I'm pretty sure I'm big in the picture. Okay, so it's on. You want to shut that door? Maybe that would be helpful.
This speech is about texting while driving.
Oh. Appropriate.
Yeah, this is a photo of Allison Smith. She was 17. She lived in Stacyville, Iowa. And at about 3:30 on December 2, 2014, she was driving on her way home from school, and she looked down at her text behind the wheel, and she didn't see that there was a stopped school bus in front of her. Sadly, there was 21 children on the school bus, and they lived, they were fine. But sadly, this sweet gal lost her life simply because of a poor choice. This didn't just affect her, but it affected her family, all because of one silly little dilly-bob thing that she had to look at. This is another story of Sarah Glasper. This little gal was 7 years old, and there was another little gal with her that was even younger than her, and a teacher all on a school bus. And sure enough, the bus driver was poking on his phone, sending a text, and they all died. And then 6 months later, the bus driver died. All because they decided, I think I can look down, at my screen while I'm driving. What is sad about that is that, especially if you're a driver of other people, you're taking other people's lives at risk. And it's quite inconsiderate. And so, the unique thing about Allison Smith's story is that there was a video camera in the back of the bus, so they knew that she was texting. That whole crash was recorded. And so these things happen, guys, and I hope these stories remind you that driving while texting kills people. It is deadly, literally. And you live with a lifelong of remorse. And ironically, these crashes happen with people that are the most inexperienced drivers. So those who just got their license, ding. Those who just got their license are the people that are crashing because they're texting. They are the majority. And so because of these stories, I want to convince you why you shouldn't have your phone on, or why it should be on silent, or even thrown in the back. Why I think we should have a more firmer law about no texting while driving. Why we should have books that share information and share charts and graphs and facts about the reality that happens when you text behind the wheel. Once again, I can't reiterate this enough. This kills people. This causes accidents. This causes injuries. And once again, why it's so sad is because of one text. One silly little text. Your life is so much more important than sending a text behind the wheel. According to CDC, not looking at the road for 2 seconds is safe. But it takes about 5 seconds to send a text. And what's interesting is that once you've sent a text in 5 seconds, you have driven the length of a football field, or 55 miles. Put that in perspective. That you're taking somebody else's life or your life at hand. And just think about that. Also, what's interesting is that texting while driving is actually 6 times, folks, 6 times more dangerous than driving and drinking a 4-pack of beer. That is interesting. 6 times more worse. Think about that. So, how do you find these people while you're driving? Hopefully you're not one of them. Well, they're going to be swerving around. They're not going to be in their own lane. And sadly, they're not going to know that they're going to be swerving around. They're not going to know that the stoplight is in front of them because they're not looking at the road. They are looking at a screen in front of their wheel. Being inconsiderate of your life and taking their life for granted. So, can this stop? Well, I think we're on our way, but I don't think we're there exactly yet. We're at a place where we should be yet. In about 48 states, they have no texting while driving law, but it's a law to discourage that idea. So therefore, it's difficult to enforce the law. And Illinois is actually the most strict. They can't even have a Bluetooth thing on, which I can't disagree. More safety, more power to you. And with the Iowa law, it's kind of interesting. For Iowa, no texting and driving is discouraged. And not only that, but it's a secondary offense, which I think is kind of wimpy, quite frankly, because what that means is that if you're texting while driving, the police can't just pull you over because you were texting and driving. You got to have a tail light out, or you're going over the speed limit, or something else has to be going on in order to pull you over. So the police would pull you over and say, "Sir, you were speeding, driving over the speed limit, and by the way, you were texting while driving." Although, according to the Des Moines Register, 85% of Iowans do support the law to pull over someone solely for texting while driving. And I agree with that. I think it makes a lot more sense if you're going to have a law, to be able to properly use that law. Because if someone's driving while texting, to pull them over specifically because they were driving and texting, period, that makes a lot more sense. But this, enforcing this law and making this law more strict, becoming more aware of this law, can start with us. If we can be an example, if we can start, reminding ourselves when we get behind the wheel, that our life is precious and important, and so is the person next to us, then we, it can start with us. And so I leave you with a few questions that when you get behind the wheel the next time, are you going to ask yourself, does my life matter? Is my life important? Is the other person's life important? Is the other person's life more important than you sending a text behind the wheel? Because I remind you again, like Allison Smith and Sarah Glasper, they lost their lives because either they were texting or because somebody else was inconsiderate. So think about that. Will you risk it?
Thank you, girls, for coming. Okay, I'm having trouble getting you in here because I must have went down too far. Okay, there you are. Oh, that was the Zoom. And then we have Debbie. There's Debbie. And then we have me. hope I was in there, but if not, you heard me talking the whole entire time. Okay.